Senators Bennett and Hatch say that Jason Chaffetz is hurting his constituents and wrong for not taking earmarks. Earmarks is when you go in there and you grab some bunch of money and you throw it at something in your district, and there's not a vote on that specific appropriation. It's just tucked onto something else, and there's no discussion, no debate, no deliberative process of the Congress. It's merely a perk that different people in Congress use. Chaffetz said, I'm not going to do earmarks. And then he adjusted that a little bit later, and he said, I'm only good, like if a city or a county comes to him and says, we want money for this, we want money for that. Initially, he wasn't going to do any. And now he's adjusted it. And he said, I'm only going to do earmarks if it is for something that is a directly legitimate federal expense. You know, if there's some federal government program that's causing some expense for a local government, and if it's a legitimate area for the federal government to be involved in, I will get some money to help pay for it. But Chaffetz says we are going stinking broke in this country because morons like these two Fruit Loops you got representing you in the Senate right now, they go up there and they get money and they get money and they get money and they get money, and it doesn't get paid, it just gets borrowed, and you and I get deeper and deeper and deeper in the swamp. It is an act I consider of treason because it is fundamentally an act of destruction of our republic, because you cannot survive if you have tattered your financial foundation. You cannot survive in a sea of debt. You will drown. And every one of these stinking morons who comes back from Washington, look at me, I got a big check. Here's a big check for you. You're not helping me. You're slitting my throat. You're getting me drunk on the blood of my children. And that's not a deal I want to make with you. And Chaffetz says, and again, I don't want to sound like, oh, mighty worship Chaffetz. Do you know what I'm saying? He puts his pants on like everybody else, right? But the deal is he's right about this. We do have just a strangling fiscal problem. And again, Bennett, is looking for his fourth term? Isn't 3 times 6, 18 years he's been there? Hasn't Hatch been there since 1976? How many years is that? Right? 34 years? 18 years? And over that time, what's happened to our nation's financial status? Well, we've gone deeper and deeper and deeper in suffocating debt. Those two people are useless. Anyway, and along comes Chaffetz and says, if we're going to complain about federal spending, we have to understand that bringing home pork for our little diddle things is part of the problem. And you cannot stand up for principle while violating yourself. You can't say we've got to have fiscal responsibility while cramming money in your pockets out of the federal treasury. And so now Bennett and Hatch are criticizing Chaffetz. Here's a quote from Hatch. If you don't do it, you are just not doing your job. So Hatch is saying that Chaffetz isn't doing his job. Okay, and here's Bennett, who wants the support of Utah because he's loving and kind. Bennett, right now, his attitude is he is not going to, he'll get earmarks, but not for people who live in Chaffetz district. So what Bennett's doing is he's punishing people who voted for Chaffetz. I'll tell you what, Chaffetz is going his own way. He wants to be Speaker of the House. I don't know what kind of fantasy he's got going on there. Maybe it'll come true. He's probably going to rise right through that House. But if I were Chaffetz, and again, I'm not a bright man, and today I'm an angry man, and anyway, my attitude is you charge the machine gun. But if I were Chaffetz, I had his reputation, I had his political power right now in this state, I would walk up to Bennett and I would say, I'm sending you to retirement. If I were Chaffetz, I would take Bennett's job and cram it down his throat. At any rate, I can't even communicate this thought. Two senators who have held office during this period of foolish indebtedness are lecturing Jason Chaffetz in the press, saying he's not doing his job by bringing home unpaid for pork. And they're telling him that he's wrong. I think there needs to be some sort of mechanism for the people of this state to tell Hatch and Bennett, no, actually, you old robbing windbags, you are wrong. Because here's the thing, I'm just going to be honest about it, okay? We've got this, oh, well, you know, he's the grandson of a president of the church. You got to be nice to him. Oh, and this one over here, he's done such a great job representing. You've got to be nice to him. Well, the fact is that both of these people have, in the whole, facilitated policies which are not only bad for our country, but counter to the principles of the Constitution. So, like, how far do you have to go along with people who are slitting your throat? And how reserved do you have to be in pointing out that these people are bad for your country? Well, don't be impolite. Don't be impolite. I'll be honest with you. I think it's time to throw down. I think it's just time to stand up and we ought to run up the flag, see who salutes. I think it's time to be dead out honest. And here's a little quote I would say. Ezra Taft Benson down at BYU one time, he said it's important to be right and it's important to be nice. But if you can only be one, be right. And it's time to stop being nice at the expense of being right. We've been nice in this state, in this country for a long time and allowed people who are not right, who are flat out wrong, to cram their bad policies and their foolish choices, all serving their own political interests but hurting our nation's future. We have allowed, in the name of niceness, them to... We've got to be respectful and appropriate. You can't... No, this is not the way... No, stop it now. They're good people. No, they're not good people. They're not good people. They're tightening the rope around our nation's neck. And along comes Chaffetz, lope-de-dope, who's so naive he just stands up and says what happens to be right. And these guys mock him and say he's wrong? No, actually, you two old stinking birds, you're wrong. And our nation can no longer endure your malfeasance in office. It's time for a new generation to rise who will see the future through the prism of the constitutional past. It's time to flush Bennett and Hatch. And it's unfortunate that Hatch's election is not for some few years to come. But we'll take them as they present themselves. It is imperative that Bennett's Senate career end this year, period.